So cool to win here again. I won here 7 years ago for my first Cup win, so awesome to be back. The crowd, you guys are amazing.
When the 12 jumped on that stage that we won, that put them in front of us, and certainly was going to be hard to pass. And just not enough laps, really, of green there towards the end.
Some frosty flakes. I had. Is that what you mean? Is that what?
No,
that's an American thing.
Beers.
Oh, frosties. I was like, frosty flakes. Yeah, with a bit of milk and beer. I don't drink alcohol.
When they're that close, it's really hard not to think about them because you got to be a little bit protective the whole time because they're. I just didn't want to battle with them. I wanted to stay in the front. So you try, and if you can get a little gap to where you don't hear them in the corners, then you can kind of run your own race. But up until then, you're just kind of stuck.
Can we start this interview now?
Please hang up and try again.
Freak Radio Network, broadcasting from the Lucas Oil Studios. Driven by General Tire. It's Speed Freaks. Motorsports Radio redefined with Kenny Sargent.
We love to party.
Crash Gladys.
What are we doing for the bachelorette party?
And Statman.
I am serious.
Here's the Freaks.
Hey, Freak Nation. Again, we're doing some magic for you tonight as Ryan Blaney gets his second win of the NASCAR Cup season. That's 12 wins overall, his second win in Pocono. Crash, Stat, Richard C. Suave, yours truly. Richard C. Suave from a hotel, Monterey, California, as he was hanging out all day for the Moto America Superbike races going on. Of course, what you saw on MAV TV. Statman in Columbus, Crasher, and yours truly here in Phoenix. And, of course, our big-ass syndicate up there in San Francisco putting it out there on the Freak Radio Network. It's how we roll here in the Freak Nation.
Nationwide.
Yes, we are. In this show, if we can get to all these pilots, drivers, then, my goodness, we are 24 years old when it comes to Speed Freaks. We're going to hear from Ryan Blaney. Going to hear from Denny Hamlin. We're going to hear from Will Power, your IndyCar Series winner from Day 2 at Iowa. He'll be here, speaking of Day 2. Josh Herron, Superbike winner from Day 2 at Laguna Seca. He'll be here in the Freak Nation. We also hope to hear from Scott McLaughlin, your Race 1 winner from Iowa, here in the Freak Nation, and the ultimate fill-in when it comes to the NASCAR Truck Series, the IndyCar Series, and anything else that Connor Daly gets a phone call. Connor Daly, who sat in the seat for Jack Harvey today at the IndyCar Series, he will be joining us here in the Freak Nation. Oh,
would you say Connor Daly is the modern day Mimo Gidley?
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. I was waiting for Kitty to stop talking, so I'm not married to him, so I can't interrupt him like you.
Yeah,
can.
just say, hey.
Yeah, do you think, again, Mimo Gidley, if you're not familiar with this guy, at one time he carried a seat in his car whenever he traveled, just in case he got the phone call. And Connor Daly, you're right. Maybe he just carries his. In the interview that we have with Connor, he talks about, thank you, Roger Penske, for allowing me to jump on your plane to get to Iowa. So does he check? Does he carry on his seat? I don't know.
On Roger's plane, everything's a carry-on.
Yeah. And did I forget? Chicago Street Course winner Alex Bowman.
Oh, yeah.
Will be here in the Freak Nation. Got himself a top 5 in Pocono. And Stat, Crash, Suave, and I'm asking you, Freak Nation, that's the problem of coming off Chicago, the Chicago street race, where there's so much fire and fervor and this dividing this, and he should have done that, and it's just madness of the Chicago street course race. And then we have the freaking tricky triangle of Pocono, and I'll be curious what our friend Jeff Gluck comes up with. He always asks on Twitter, was this a good race? I can promise you that 65% of you say Pocono was a good race.
Was or was not?
Was. Richie, go on Jeff Gluck's Twitter account right now, and I can promise you that there's the odds are, Crasher, that the majority are going to say it's a good race.
Really?
Yes. I mean, Statman, compare this race to Chicago.
I'm not going to go with that, but I'm interested to hear what
Statman's falling asleep. You bang him on the head. Wake up. That's the think about this. Think about being Pocono. And again, just a snoozer. You got to follow Chicago.
More often than not, Pocono is a snoozer for the stock cars. We could go through the 24 years that we've been doing Speed Freaks and count on maybe one hand of an enjoyable or at least an entertaining NASCAR Pocono weekend.
And Stat, Crasher, Suave, I'm going to be honest. You guys know this. Up until about 7 days ago, this was going to be a pre-recorded show. It was going to be a re-air because NASCAR going to Pocono is a sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we know what the 800-pound gorilla is. It's NASCAR. And we got to find interesting hooks to talk about when it comes to NASCAR, to keep you glued to the screen, to keep you glued to the radio, to keep you glued to the podcast. But
to show you how much of a snoozer it was, the last, 25 laps, nobody could get close enough to each other to even fake a yellow flag.
Oh, jeez. So could we just have a snooze competition? Which was snoozier this weekend, IndyCar or NASCAR?
Well, what? Hold on just a second. To get back to
wait a minute, Kenny. The better example would be NASCAR Pocono or Jacksonville, Atlanta.
What?
Which was the biggest snooze?
The Super Bowl from years ago?
No.
Jacksonville, Atlanta? Come on.
No, that was Atlanta Patriots.
Why Jacksonville and Atlanta?
Yeah, why
Stat?
Jacksonville, Atlanta?
Because that's guaranteed to put you to sleep. Guaranteed.
Yeah, that's the game that the NFL puts on overseas every year in London. That's the game they put on at 6 a.m. West Coast time because they know nobody's going to watch it.
It's the best. It's better than sleeping pills. It's guaranteed to put you to sleep.
Well, I lost my freaking train of thought. Let's go to Richie. Maybe I can find it here in a second. Richie, what's Jeff Gluck's?
You always ask me this. You ask me this every Sunday night during the live radio show, and Jeff always puts out the polls on Monday morning.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now our old brains can remember.
Jacksonville, Atlanta. There you go.
Aaron Cody Campbell checking in with us saying, yep, Pocono's a good nap race. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. In fact,
is this where I enter now that NASCAR is up on its Brickyard weekend? Is this where I enter the dialogue of, the debut Brickyard weekend, 1994? I fell asleep, turn one in the grandstands. Are we going to have back-to-back snoozers?
Dig this. This is what you got, Freak Nation. You're right, Crasher. You got the Brickyard next weekend coming up on Sunday. They're back on that big-ass oval coming off of Pocono, which came off Chicago. I applaud NASCAR for getting in the head of Ty Gibbs, crew chief. Blow the engine, drop the oil. We'll drop another $500,000 into your bank account. Over.
Is that how it happens?
Just like that's how it sounds. That was just, you come off such a high with Chicago. We got Pocono. We've got Indianapolis, the Oval. And then we go dark for 2 weeks with the damn Olympics. Let's reset. Thank goodness that's right, IndyCar, where I think I passed more gas over the weekend that they had passes on the freaking track. I know I passed more gas over the weekend.
And remember, I'm his wife, and I'm going to also say that that's absolutely the truth. I can verify that. I vouch.
Richie, thank goodness we had Superbikes and the baggers at Laguna Seca providing passing and some intrigue when it comes to racing.
Well, not in race one.
Okay,
not in
right.
race one, but yes, with Richie out there for race two on Sunday, yes.
It was terrific. If you didn't catch it on MAV TV, you should have tuned in for race 2 on Sunday. It was an epic 4-way battle all the way until the final lap for who was going to win. Josh Herring came out on top. He now leads the points, and he's going to join us coming up later in the show. And this was my first time at Laguna Seca, and I went out to the corkscrew and was watching these guys go 160 miles an hour plus or whatever they were going in that corkscrew with their knees riding on the pavement, going through those turns. Just So freaking cool, man. It was just like, these guys are nuts. Nuts.
And so precise, so good at what they do. It's insanity. They are this close to just completely crashing out like Bobby Fong did in the first Superbike race on Saturday. But yeah, they're just amazing. Motorcycle riders are incredible athletes.
So there you go. We've got a 20-lapper Sunday afternoon. Laguna Seca Superbikes on MAV TV. And then we have an epic sleep fest when it comes to Pocono. What do we got coming up for? We went through this last year at this time.
Did it? Huh?
Talking about the road course in Indianapolis. It's run its course. Put them on the oval. Why? It's going to look cavernous with the amount of people that are there.
I will be there next weekend, and I'm only partially looking forward to it. I really thoroughly enjoyed the combined weekend of NASCAR and IndyCar, both on the road course. It was a party atmosphere. So many families came out and had fun on the grassy mounds and just picnicked to watch a little bit of IndyCar here, a little bit of Xfinity racing here, and then the next day coming back for a fun Cup day. I am so bummed that is gone. And I remember the old oval races at the Brickyard, and I'm not really looking forward to what this year might bring. I know the car is completely different, but I also remember that these races were not that good.
Again, looking at the latest from the 2025 schedule, there's not a Pocono date from what I see, from where I am here. I do not see the Pocono date confirmed if it's going to fall in line to what we're talking about at this point. But regardless,